case by case, detailed analysis of what it is. If you put cash, right, in a 400K home, you're getting 2,400 rent. You have, six, seven, $800 taxes, and insurance and maintenance is 1,000. So you put 400,000 and you're getting 1,400 in your hand. Is that what you want to do, which is 14,000? A lot of people actually, see, I also divide it into age. I don't like younger guys, under 40, 50, whatever, go for rentals. They have to be in active projects. They have to spend time learning. If not anything, they learn so much about investment and projects and what people are doing. It's worth it. Yeah, once you get maybe closer to retirement, you're thinking about converting them into rentals is good. But people who have bought rentals have lost, except for the transition time where, that went up too, right? You cannot use that as a judgment. But I've always seen that investment, which has a project-based returns, are higher than a fixed final product return. So, for example, in India, right, in 2000s, a lot of my age guys went in and bought an apartment at maybe 20 lakhs. It got a rental of 15,000. That 20 lakhs is a now 20-year-old product, which is out of flavor, may sell for 40 lakhs. At the same time, somebody who invested 20 lakhs in land is worth maybe 5, 7, 10 crores. So you're talking a difference of 30 to 40 times.
Yeah.
Then what good was those 15,000 rupees when it fundamentally changed who you are in your network? So yeah, a successful investment is about ownership with minimum overhead. So I'm writing off little bit of single family rental with maintenance, and satisfactory exit with meaningful returns. We are so happy. I bought this land, and I see that a lot of times. We bought this land, we bought this home, this property is good, my rental is going to be good, I'm going to renovate it in a way that it's going to look good and I'm going to feel good about it, all fine. But when you sell it, you're taking a loss. Exit has to be happy. It's not when you enter. So all that said, the summary is spend time, regardless of how little you know. Every time you spend an hour to learn more, to talk to people, to go out, to drive, you are adding to yourself. If not now, 3 years from now, you will know enough. Right?
So let me quickly ask you one thing. Let's say you have a $5,000 square foot house. Not in the city where as hot as Irving or some of the Plano or some of the other places where you put the house in the morning and it goes into the overbidding and bidding war in the evening and things and so on. Any suggestions for those people that they're living in that other city, not as hot as Plano and Irving? What they can do to, sell their property but in a better way, better price? Because it's not as hard as, location.
So the price is driven by market, right? What city it is, what it will sell for. You can do, better presentation, fix little things that, catches the attention and put it in the market. You cannot do something extraordinary to sell fast. It takes whatever the pace that market is. So, doing the right things, making sure you're renovating it appropriately, putting it in the market is the right way. If there is a rental possibility, rent it. A lot of people who bought homes, there are very less homes coming to the market because a lot of people have locked their homes at 2.5 to 3%. Transitioning the same home, if we sell our Parkside home and go buy a home in Frisco because somehow happen to like Frisco, doesn't make sense because you're getting out of a 2,000 monthly payment into a 5,500 monthly payment for the same house. So a lot of people are not selling and renting because rental makes sense. People never used to rent 4,000 square foot home, but just because the interest rates are locked in so much, it makes sense to rent a home and get something else instead of selling a home and buying a home. As far as the market is concerned, I have a home in, say, east of Sherman. There is a town called White there, right? Will it sell quickly? By the way, through COVID, anything around within an hour with 10 acres and a home was selling faster than the city home. It might have slowed down, so it will take. There are customers for every property. You have to wait a little longer to get the right one. Right? In Dallas, it may have. If the interest rates goes up a little bit more and it slows down a little bit more, it may be hard to sell even a parkside home for maybe 3 months instead of getting multiple offers. So it's really about the market, where it is, what kind of attention it drives, what pace of customers it is. If it's a specialized property, that specialized customer will come, but it takes its time. So that said, I hope, yeah.
One question, do you think this is stagnation is coming, right? Right now it's stagnation period.
Yeah, I think, but things that I think have not happened more than 50% of the time. So till it happens, you don't know. You have to be active, every time I call now to a broker, realtor, developer, builder, I talk about what is your sales space, what's going on. Are people buying $1 million home paying 8,000 versus, it was 3,000 last year. How do you think it's gonna change? What do you think in next 6 months gonna happen? So this kind of input you continuously get and you make your judgment. At least one thing for sure is, last 3 years, well, leave last year, 2-3 years before that, you miss something, right or wrong, you're losing value, right? You lost. I don't think now it's the situation. I think if you wait now and learn more and watch more, you will get, even in that time, let me tell you, the opportunities are there even now, and they will be there 6 months later, and they were there 6 months back. How you find them and which one you pick up. If 50 investors are after me with $5 million, I can go buy any land which is listed for $5 million right now. I watch for opportunities, I scout for properties, because that time is worth, that wait is worth. If you find something that has an inbuilt $1 million in your equity, it's worth to go buy something, because that $1 million is a lot of worth to wait, right? So when prices rose, just because I was watching and I was aware by the week, by the month, I was able to get properties valued 1 year back, even when it grew, right? So you will always find those opportunities. You have to find them, and you have more time when, I missed something and I know 6 months later it grew 50%, I'm feeling for it, but I can still find something that is, 30% undervalued. So always look out for it and you will find one. So there is no hurry even through the rise time. Now, I think that discipline is going to help you much more.
One more question. This is regarding the current opportunity. You showed the map and you showed that the outer loop, outer. So what do you think? Which area is going to go most?
So again, nothing fixed, but with the outer loop, I add McKinney to Sherman, Prosper to Selena Gunther, Pilot Point, Tioga on 377. So on 377, Aubrey, Pilot Point, Tioga. On DNT, Prosper, Selena, Gunther. On 75, McKinney, Van Elstein, Melissa, Anna, Howe, Sherman. These are all doing really well. To the east, up to Greenville, Princeton, Farmersville, Greenville, and there are towns in between. Sherman happened to have the TI, $30 billion investment coming in. McKinney is already very established. In between is 20 to 25 minutes. Already people were buying between Gunther and those areas because it was accessible to Frisco and McKinney. And then Sherman happened, so the growth from both the sides. I don't put as much weightage on Sherman, but it still got a lot of weight. Still, that said, the values are very high. Just because it's a growth area, just because it's a good area, you can go in a good area and go wrong. You can go in a bad area and make money. So it's about individual case. Research, get opinions, be after it, watch. If you leave something, don't close it out there. So if you find a good property and you were not able to close it, and you're done, now you're depressed, you don't want to go forward. And you go through all those cycles when you're in investment. When you miss a good investment, it takes toll on you, right? But you have to put it aside, continue, discipline helps. You go keep looking, you will find something similar. At least I did every time I missed something, because I continued. So being involved, being continuous, watching, believing, finding will open up routes for you, will open up access for you, will open up connections for you, and you will find one.
So you keep the prices, for example, the door how do you keep track of that? Do you keep in your mind or you just write somewhere, you know?
It's, so, once you gain something, once you're into something, it just keeps adding up, right? You don't have to, I don't have to remember now, the county roads that I travel because I just travel them, right? So it just keeps adding up, the information keeps adding up, you become that subject matter expert and you continue that. Right? It looks difficult. If I tell you 50 things about areas, location, value, prices, realtors, brokers, you're like, oh my God, he knows so much and I don't, how can I remember this? You get in it, you feel it, it keeps growing on.
One question, the McKinney Airport was on the ballot for getting commercial. Did that go through earlier this year?
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about McKinney Airport commercial, but that area has nothing to do with airport and growth.
No, I was thinking
Right.
that, this
Yeah.
Dallas moving to north, the
Right.
center of Dallas,
Mhm.
and if there is an airport getting commercial access now,
Mhm.
that helps the region. So
Mm.
my question was that,
Right. So to that, I am saying that airport like DFW serves 150 miles.
Oh, okay. Yeah. no,
McKinney grew because of DFW,
Mhm.
because 121 was connected to it. McKinney is just 25 minutes from DFW, which is a world-class, one of the busiest airport. Now, if there is a regional airport like Love Field in McKinney, I think McKinney has more value already with there is Henry Billingsley who's doing sound here. He's doing on 75 and 121 intersection of $5 billion project on 500 acres. That itself takes over McKinney Airport by 5 to 10 times in its value driving, right? Like that, there are 50 different projects in that area, coming from Sherman and down. Yeah, airport adds a little, but it does not matter whether they approve it or not. Even if they approve, there are not gonna be more than 20 to 30 flights, specialized flights from there.
Absolutely. But the business is already getting there, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, business already is there above and beyond.
And I remember you had mentioned about areas that are towards Fort Worth side. Are there any cities that you have in mind that you would recommend that are growing and are worth investing in?
Yeah, I think, Cleburne, Burleson, Crowley, going down, there is Venus, all those areas that were,
But those are pretty much developed areas.
Crowley and Burleson is, but if you
Yeah.
go down towards Cleburne, halfway through, I think there's still a lot more to be developed. But development coming and value realization are two different things. I'm more comfortable investing same piece of property with similar strategic location in Northeast based on what all is coming up versus over there. But if there is something that is really undervalued in that area, those areas are growing too. Fort Worth, Weatherford, Alido, White Settlement on the west side. You go north, Azle, Springtown, and they are all growing. Decatur, go down south, Cleburne, and up all the cities in between, they are growing. But growing versus the value that you got, that is more important. Regardless of the place, it has to make a lot of sense with what's going on.
Anything else, guys?
Just a quick
Oh,
question.
thank you so much,
about,
Iqbal. Thank you so much, Imtiaz.
Yeah, that's okay.
You think you had a
Yeah,
question?
so just a quick question about,
Yeah, what is that?
Let him ask that question and let me stop the recording. After that, we'll just have
so
a
we have
chat.
seen like a rise of interest rates like since last year, and it's been like hitting like 7%, and we're expecting the people who already bought like couple homes or those were under development now, those are developed, and now people are not ready to buy and get into that mortgage, don't want to own that home anymore. Those homes should come back in the market with a lower price, right? But we don't see many of those cases, like the prices are getting lower and
It just started. I think the higher interest, people have bought, the lot of homes that you see are now closing. You drive down in Salina, you'll see 100 homes under construction, right?
right,
And you're thinking interest rate is 8%, 100 homes.
exactly.
Those homes were sold 18 months back, 16 months back, 12 months back. Some of them will come to, so what situations can happen? Some of them will come to disqualifying a buyer who had 80,000 income because now he won't qualify for a 8% interest on a 500,000 home when he qualified for 4%. He will have to drop. A person who's buying a second home thinking that it will appreciate.
Mhm.
And a lot of people put contracts on home just like that because by the time home is done, it's up 100,000. Those will drop, right? People who genuinely don't want to spend that kind of thing will go for a rental. So, and some who will say, well, I really need it. I know the prices have gone up. I can still afford it. I'll buy. Now, what percentage? I don't know. Maybe 40% will go through, maybe 60, maybe 80. Maybe the values are still rising a little. But eventually it has to take toll. These people who will back out because they cannot or they don't make sense of it will happen. And it's happening. There are homes that are coming back in market. There are homes that are staying in market. I have seen homes go down from anywhere from 30 to 100,000 in last 1 month. Will it continue? Where will it stop? It's all the future. You keep watching and seeing what's happening. If the interest rates come down to 5%, these are going to fly off. I have seen people get back into the market at 5%, but 7 to 8% is something that's going to deter, that's going to stop people. Don't go and put a contract right now on a home thinking that you will sell it and flip it when it is done. You will get stuck. In a flip contract, where by the way, a lot of people went in and put a contract on a home. By the time it's done, in fact, in Prosper, I went and tried to get a home because my son got admission in Denton at 820,000. I had to put 40,000 down. Then I saw that, the distance is more. But that home is right now 1.2 million by the time it was built. So 40,000 could have gotten me 400,000. A lot of people did that, right? Now, if somebody goes now and put that 40,000 at 1.2 million, the moment you have 100,000 or 80,000 appreciation, putting that 40,000 makes sense, because when you sell, there is a cost to it, right? If there is a closing cost, there is double closing cost, then there is, title insurance cost when you sell. There is a realtor cost. If you flip, it has to take care of all those costs and then give you reasonable money. And it was happening. Now, if somebody saw, oh, I put 440,000 here, I made 300,000, and nice idea. You go and put a 40,000 a year later, it's non-refundable, and you're scrambling to close it when the home itself is maybe just about that price or little under. So yeah, it's a market.
So, a question about the interest rate versus the inflation relationship. So, what we understood in my MBA studies were, when inflation is out of control, one of the levers you have is to increase the interest rate.
Right.
And that's what we saw throughout the whole period of COVID, right? The interest was constantly being raised. And now the prediction, if you go to tradingeconomics.com, they show the prediction forward that in the next 2 years, 1.5, 2 years, both will eventually come down. Now, they're just projecting it, but there are other factors affecting this projection as well. What is your take on the interest rate eventually coming down?
Right. So,
or do you think it's a runaway situation?
yeah, I'm not a
I
economist.
can tell you, if you go back and look at the history of US election statistics, that you're going to see that the interest rate in the election year have always been down. And they did it 2 times in a row, just last 2 times, they didn't raise.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I can share with you, the statistics, talk to
Yeah,
walk to walk.
what I'm
So-
talking about is the economic reasons for raising the interest rate. The inflation that you actually saw, that wasn't prevalent in the previous election years. We had a drastic event that wasn't man-controlled. For some people still think it was man-controlled, but the COVID impacted the economies. So inflation did happen, not in the same way that we have seen in many, many years.
And they left the interest rate raised was another reason behind it. Anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, was the money was coming from all over the world.
Yeah.
Because they were getting returned on their money.
Mhm.
I know people right now, because of my experience, coming to me, they have money, they don't know what to do with it. Because the interest rate went up, they're getting more for their money than they would put anywhere else in the market.
Correct. So the reason of the context of the question was people are not buying homes because the interest rates are so high. What the projections are, if the inflation comes down, they will eventually lower the interest rate. And the projection says 2 years, 2.5 years, those two will eventually meet at 3%, which at this moment hard to fathom.
Yes.
We're at 8%, 9%. If you're a
Yes.
Muslim, you pay 1% off top of that, right?
Yeah.
Right? So we're talking about all those ideas, all these things coming down. That means if the direction is downwards for inflation and for interest rate, you would see people wait it out for a year and a half and see, as soon as he said 5%, it hit the mark 5%, people are gonna jump back in.
Yes.
So then what is your strategy? Is just wait and see, keep learning? Or do you see interest rates not coming down due to an unforeseen reason that I can't see? That was my question.
Right, so in terms of interest rates, right, a little bit of variation, the policy changed by 0.25, 0.5, I don't think it's gonna, my experience from, last 3 events, interest rates go down when we destroy everything, right? सब कुछ गलत हो गया तो September 11th, subprime meltdown, COVID, 3 events.
Yeah.
Anytime the government is supporting through policies, subprime meltdown, they were giving 8,000 for if you're a first-time home buyer.
Right.
The COVID interest rates were down to 2.5%. Everything for 3 months seems like gone out. But the moment, what I have seen in my experience, if the government is supporting with policies, reducing interest rates, that's the time when you are in the most fear is the time to invest, right? So now, do I see interest rates coming down? I don't think unless we destroy it enough.
So since the Second World War till today, the U.S. history average interest rate is 2.5%.
Okay.
The average, and we have seen 87, we have seen 2007, we have seen 9/11, and we have seen the recent recessions. All of those included, where interest rate really went down to zero, and there are times when it went up, like in before the 87 issue,
Yeah.
from 70s, late 70s to mid 85, interest rates were like 11%, 12%.
Right.
So we had those,
Right.
times as well. Looking at this number and just looking at the economic relationship that my little brain can understand, it felt like it was going to go down.
Yeah, in recent thing, I think there is so much money thrown out
Right.
into medical business, the small medium businesses. People are so flushed with money that interest rates going higher is not affecting because there are enough people with cash. Now, we are worried about interest rate. There is a property that I have in Selena. I went in and I saw like 50 machines in front of it. I went in to say what's going on. So this guy is leveling up 10 acres. His 5 acres will be football field, little bit of golf courts and a swimming pool, which is, itself is a $500,000. So I went and stopped and asked, hey, what are you doing? He said, I'm building a 18 million home. And I bought all the properties here because I want these homes to be more than 10 million. Okay, are you not worried about interest rate? No, I'm a developer who developed 1,000-acre communities, master plan communities. My last year revenue was 175 million. We have been doing good from last 3 years. And I saw the market, there are no homes in 15 million range for people who have money. So I'm starting to do that right here. And I think there is a great market, right? So
It's
there are those
catering to
people,
a segment.
yeah, there are those people with money who have done well, who continue to do well and have too much cash on their hand. They are going to do what they are doing, right? But we cannot really chop that up into regular market. But then it also helps you see that, okay, they can take those risks and not care. We are thinking about every little thing.
When the interest rates goes down, I think